Hi, my name is Shannon. Welcome to my channel. I'm an avid knitter. I've been knitting for over 20 years, and recently, over the last couple of years, I've taught myself to crochet. Pretty much learned how to do it by starting with a YouTube tutorial on how to do granny squares. And I have found multiple creative YouTubers that have fantastic videos that provide me with a lot of creative inspiration. Not only do they share patterns and teach you things, but keep you up to date with projects they're working on, tips for markets if they sell things at markets, um, and basically provide challenges, fun stuff. And I've really enjoyed it. So I thought I'd try one myself. So here we are, and welcome. A few housekeeping things before we get started. I have been knitting for so long that I often use knitting terms when I'm talking about crochet, so please bear with me. I'm also not very technical, so I'm trying to figure out the microphone. I swear the hardest thing about this is the placement of your microphone with the sound. So bear with me as we learn together through this process. Other than that, let's go. The first video I wanted to start with, I had all these ideas based on the wonderful things that I like to watch. But one of my ideas was I kind of like to experiment a little. So when I find a pattern that I like, I always do it the first time exactly as written because I want to understand all the ins and outs of the pattern. And then once I've tried it at least once, only then will I go in and modify it. If it's something I really like, I find that I will make the same project over and over again. And one of the things I really enjoyed about crocheting was amigurumi. And what I like about it is you can often change the weight of your yarn to make different sizes of the same pattern. So what I've decided for my first pattern is that I want to take one pattern and try to make it in different weights of yarn and see how it turned out. So I have done that. And the pattern I decided to use is a really adorable, simple, fun, low sew pattern. There's a little bit of sewing. You do have to sew the tail on, but otherwise it's no sew. So I thought it would be a fun one because I've made it a bunch of times because I'm addicted to the pattern. So the pattern that I'm using, and I won't show the details here because we do want you to buy the pattern from the artist, is the Cute Kitten Plushies, and it's by Handmade by Annie. I will link it below once I learn how to do that because this is my first video. Um, but I've made this multiple times. It does call for, I think it's Bernat blankets, and this is a super bulky weight yarn. So he's kind of a chunky loaf cat. So I've made him a bunch of times with some different yarns in the weight that the pattern calls for. So I do have some examples of that. The first time I made it, I used loops and threads ring spun acrylic blend. So this one is in black and drizzle. What's really awesome about this pattern is it's an 8-in-1 pattern. So you can either make it a solid color, just have the face a different color from the rest of the body, or do a calico cat striped. There's all different options, and you can buy this both on Ravelry or on her Etsy page, and again I will link that below. But here is one of the cats I made. I love him. He's so cute and chubby. It's very cool because you start with the face, you knit it flat. See, I already did it. Crochet it flat. You make the ears with half double crochets, and then you keep going with the body. You just do the bobbles. It's kind of hard to see, but maybe when I turn them this way, bobble stitch for the feet, and then you finish them up at the back, and then you just make the tail and sew it on. Super, super simple. It's a really good beginner amigurumi. And who doesn't love a little chunky love cat? So I I did make this with Juicy Couture Luxe Velour once, the sparkle, and I really need to use a smaller size hook for that because there's a lot of space. And even this guy, I used a J hook, which is a 6 millimeter, and there still is a little too much space. When you make a stuffed animal, you want to crochet or knit very tightly so that you don't see the stuffing through. And I think I'd use a smaller hook next time, just because it was a little loosey goosey, but not bad. And I've made a whole bunch of these. They're so cute. I have one another. These are both two-tone color ones. I made in the same yarn but different colors. I think this was called something coral or um, yeah, I'm not sure. But yeah, so he has the little stripe on his tail, but you can make them all in one color. So I started with that, and I really like it in that weight. Um, I believe I used 12 millimeter eyes on these guys, but I've also made one that I gifted, so I can't show you. But I did 15 millimeter eyes, and it was so cute because he looked like one of those flat faced Himalayans, I think they call them, or Persian cats with the big, big eyes. And I loved it. So experiment, use whatever size eyes are good for you. These I just did with the like pupils that are right in the middle. Um, this one was a cat's eye design. So whatever you want. There's the kawaii too, which I'll show you in a minute. But that's another style that you could do too. So the next time I made this, I did it in a jumbo size yarn. And let me show you the yarn that I used, the super bulky stuff. Um, this is the loops and threads. I did get it on clearance at Michael's, and I'm like, what can I make with this? So, yeah, that was fun. So the next time I made it, I tried it in jumbo, um, which had a couple of challenges, but I'll talk about that. I used Bernat Blanket Extra, which is a jumbo weight. I did it. This is the yarn. I mean, you can see the weight. It's very big. Um, I ended up using a 12 millimeter hook. I didn't have a lot of hooks, so I just used the one that I think like was closest. I forgot to check the millimeter of the eyes, but they're much bigger. Maybe 20 millimeter eyes. I used kawaii eyes this time. And he came out adorable, just the same pattern. And because they don't write, she doesn't write the pattern by like, crochet or knit by a couple of inches. It's just do this number of stitches. Basically should turn out okay proportion wise, as long as your tension's the same. It should be okay. So here is my jumbo guy. He's so cute. You can see this guy's feet a little bit better, and his big old tail. But they're so funny. They have the derpiest faces with these. It's like, anyway, so that's him in the jumbo weight. Now, the challenges I had with that um, were that when I went to sew on the yarn, finding a tapestry needle to sew or weave in your ends that is big enough was crazy. I mean, look at that. Like, how are you going to get that in a regular tapestry needle? So I did have to go on Amazon and order these really big ones. It was still a little bit of a challenge to get it through. I don't know the size. I can link that below. But this was very helpful. The one thing I didn't like about the yarn is when you pull the yarn through, like at the end, a lot of times you just run the tapestry needle through your stitches and pull it shut. I pulled it and it snapped. So definitely when you are closing up or weaving in ends, do it 1 or 2 stitches and tighten it then. Don't pull them through a whole bunch and pull really hard to get them through because it is kind of hard to move it through, and it did snap, but I don't know, I figured it out. So I went all the way up to the biggest and I decided to try it scale it down to make it a little bit smaller. So then I decided to use worsted weight yarn. So I used a 4 millimeter hook with 10 millimeter eyes. I used Juicy Couture Luxe Velour Mini, and it literally was so little yarn that when I weighed it afterward, it didn't even show a difference. So I can't even tell you how much yarn it used. So adorable. He almost looks like a hamster. My husband's like, "Are you crocheting a hamster?" I'm like, "No, it's a cat." Um, but I for this one again with the velour, I don't know if it's looser or stretchy or whatever. I definitely would use a smaller hook, but he was still very, very cute. And so here's my little hamster cat. This is him right here. So, I mean, how small is this? It's crazy. And yeah, you can see you can see a little bit of it through. So yeah, I would use a smaller hook. Usually you want to go down a size or two. Um, I'm more familiar with knitting, so I kind of know like when I have to size up or down for knitting, how that works, but I'm learning crochet. So I'm like warts and all here. I think it's more relatable. I think when you have somebody telling you, what was really like and that we're not all perfect and et cetera. So I am kind of learning how to adjust my hooks. So yeah, I will try this again with worsted. Again, I don't know if it's the type of fiber that I used, but I yeah, I'd experiment with what hook I would use. But I really love the little green cat's eyes on this guy, and he's super, super cute. So there was that. And I was kind of surprised with how small he was. So I thought, okay, well, I was thinking I'd go all the way down to fingering weight, but I don't know if my eyes could take it because the next thing I tried was DK. I used a C hook, which is 2.5 millimeters, and I used little teeny tiny 6 millimeter eyes. Now, the yarn I used, oh, by the way, this is the yarn that I used for my worsted kitty. And for my DK, I've made lots of baby sweaters. I love knitting Fair Isle baby sweaters as gifts, and it doesn't take a lot of yarn when you only use a little color. So I have a ton of it. So I thought, oh, I'm going to use this up. I used Patton's Beehive Baby Sport, and then I had this other stuff. I don't even know what this is, but it was in my bag of DK. I tend to organize my yarn by weight. And one day I will do a video on how I organize my yarn and ask how you organize your yarn because it's a constant battle. Um, no label, so I have no idea what it is, but I tried to do, I don't know why, because I'm crazy because it's so small, but I did the the pink color, and then switched it to the variegated. And honestly, I shouldn't have done it because I just wanted the face to be a solid color. But the color changes are a little bit longer, so it didn't really matter. But I actually loved how this came out. It kind of came out, it was like it's sort of spring themed, which right now it is spring, so it's perfect. It's almost like, I don't know, like Victorian looking to me. It almost looks like a floral pattern the way part of it came out. So I I am absolutely obsessed with this. I think this is so cute. I'm going to make a million of them, even though my eyes are going buggy. I think this would make a great little low price market item. You could make him into a keychain because he's so tiny. But I used some fingering weight yarn for his mouth. I have to say the tail was a little tricky in a smaller weight like this. So I think I might do like just a chain, like chain a couple of chains and then go back down and slip stitch back to the body to just make it a little wider, and that would be enough of a tail. But here he is, look at him, he's so small, you can barely see his feet. But yeah, I don't even remember what this yarn was, but I just think that looks pretty. It looks like if you can see, if it's like a floral pattern almost, and he's got his little yellow face. But this pink here was that first yarn. Um, which I found was a little bit splitty. So it was kind of hard to work with to get the tiny hook through. So once I switched to whatever this other yarn is, it was much better. One thing I would suggest with this one in this size is, and also in the worsted, especially with that chenille yarn, I think it's not so bad, I guess, with this one because it's a smoother, like regular yarn, like a regular acrylic, and not fuzzy. I might do a bigger bobble. In this pattern, it calls for a 3 double crochet bobble. I might do a 4 just to make the feet a little bit bigger. We'll experiment with that and check it out. But yeah, so this was teeny tiny. It did take me an hour and 20 minutes to make this little guy, which is longer than it takes me to make the bigger ones. And I think it was because of that splitty yarn and the fact that it's smaller, it was a little more challenging. But I think I'll get much faster as I go, and I can see myself making tons of these. Again, super, super fun. Now, do I dare try fingering weight yarn? One, I don't know if I have a crochet hook that's small enough. Um, I will look for that. I might have to purchase one, but I say we go for it and see what it looks like and how small it's going to be in fingering weight. Let's do it. Okay, I'm back. So I've finished my cat in fingering weight. Went into my bin of fingering yarn, and for a couple of years, I used to be a member of Jimmy Bean's Wool. It's a yarn company, a yarn store in Nevada, I believe. They had something called beanie bags that every month they would send you some small samples of yarn with a little pattern for something to make in it in a cute little pouch. And I had lots of these, a couple of them I didn't want to try the patterns that came with them, but I held on to the yarn. And I found some Spud and Chloe. um, this is what's left after making the cat. Even I probably could make another cat. This is what the bags look like. They were super cute. I don't think they do it anymore. They have other um, like subscription things that they do. But anyway, I'm probably going to follow up with a video with something fun to do with those bags. I had to experiment a little first. But I did get, I had to order some smaller lace weight crochet hooks, and I got a 1.75 millimeter. That's what I used for this one, this teeny, teeny, tiny thing. Um, and You have seen the video of me working on it, and I want to just apologize because I completely forgot after I recorded it that it probably wasn't really fun to watch because I have this awful thing on my thumb. It was not pretty. Um, Very dumb, but about a week and a half ago, I closed my thumb in my car door. Um, doesn't hurt. Everything's fine. I barely, it really hurt at the time. But just looks gross. So I'm sorry that you had to watch that video with my thumb. Just a little side note there. But anyway, um, let's get to it and let me show you how the little teeny tiny kitty came out. I was actually very surprised. It was fun. I don't think it was, I was worried that it would be hard to see or frustrating, but I found it to be very fun. The 6 millimeter eyes are the smallest that I have, and they were way too big. So I found some beads that I had somewhere and I actually just sewed them on. And I used embroidery floss for the mouth. But here's our tiniest kitty. He's got a little bit of fuzzies on him, but he came out so cute. Um, I did not attempt to follow the pattern for the tail. I don't know if you can see, but I did, like I suggested before, I think I just slip stitch into the spot where you attach the tail on the cat. Um, and I think I did 4 chains, and then the second chain on the hook, I slip stitched all the way down to the base of the cat's tail, and then I slip stitched into the original stitch and then wove it in. And I think it looks adorable. It's like a really good size. He's kind of need to make him stand up a little. But even the little baubles I did with 3 double crochet, and it worked. So I'm going to add him here to our little lineup of kitties. Um, I was remiss though. I realized that I made it in every single weight except for bulky. And I was working on another project and I ran across some bulky yarn that I had purchased that I thought, how cute would this look as a loaf cat? So it was Loops and Threads Carousel Twist. And I loved these colors. I don't know if you can see it. Um, it's got oranges and browns and a little bit of yellow, and it's sort of like I would say it's a white, maybe a little off white, but so cute. So because I'm a stickler for things, I was like, I have to make a bulky one. I've made it in every other weight. So I just threw together a little bulky weight cat. I used 12 millimeter eyes. I had purchased some safety eyes from, I went on a site, I found these amazing patterns. And you may have heard of her, but it's called Mom Stitchetti. And she also makes safety eyes. I have her card here. So cute. So cute. Shout out. And one of the items that I purchased is you could buy sort of like a grab bag, mystery bag full of safety eyes. And I thought, well, how fun. And she sent, you order them by size. I ordered 12 millimeter with the kawaii eyes, and then there were just different backings. A lot of times you put a different backing to put different colors on, just a clear eye. And there was this really pretty glitter that was sort of like a peachy color, that because the color in the yarn is like a peachy orange, and I just loved how it came out. I want to order more eyes in this color, but here is my bulky. And honestly, I'm so glad I did it because I almost think this is my favorite weight. I think I even like this better than doing it in the extra, the super bulky, extra bulky, super bulky weight. I just think he would be great for a market sell. Just very, very cute. So that's just a little bonus kitty. So that was a very fun exercise. I really enjoyed it, seeing how the cats turned out. I hope you enjoyed it as well. This, I will show you a lineup of all the kitties shortly, but this will conclude my first vlog post. I'm going to try to post 2 videos a week to start, at least, and see how that goes with life. So look out for another one this week. If there's anything you would like to see, I have a ton of ideas and I have videos and projects in the works. But if you have something you want to see or would like me to post, just make a comment below. Feel free to subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. See you soon. And here we go with our kitty cat lineup. We have jumbo weight, super bulky, bulky, worsted, DK, and fingering. Comment below which one is your favorite. And let me know if you've made this pattern or have been inspired to try it. Post pictures if you have made it, because I'd love to see them. Take care.